want to hear something funny?
Doc Mel. Yes. Yeah, let's just kick it right off.
So I thought, right, do you know what? I'm going to do a Jack Cruz. I'm going to sit in my garden instead of my stupid studio, and I'm going to do a podcast from my garden. And the sun is out. I got my deck chair out. I got my laptop ready. I had my drink, my little lemon drink, and everything's great. And it's springtime. And in the UK, that means the weather is bloody unpredictable. It was hammering down with rain 10 minutes ago. I had to literally rush into the studio and set everything up. And now that I'm here, I wish I could turn the camera around. The sun's back out again. I really wanted to be outside, but it's too unpredictable. Literally, it's just too unpredictable.
Yeah,
So the studio it is.
people will say, like with Dr. Cruz, because he always does the no shirt on, or and not have a shirt on, and why does he do that? I'm like, because he doesn't give a fuck. I mean, I never asked him, but I'm just gonna go on a limb and say he doesn't give a fuck. So,
Dude, that is exactly it. The first time I did the podcast with him, I'd just seen photos of him and whatnot, and then I never saw his show before. I actually make a point of not watching people on other people's shows or podcasts because I don't want it to skew I don't want it to create biases. I want to go in fresh. So when he popped up, like top half naked, I didn't know about his bottom half either, but the top half was naked. My initial reaction was like, what the fuck? What's happened here? But now I'm used to it. I made the mistake of promising him that next time we do a podcast, I'm going to be topless too. Oh, shit.
I heard you say that.
Yeah, I'll just have to make sure my wife shaves my back beforehand.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be cool.
Well, you won't see the back though. You just see the front.
I know, but the hair comes out like this,
Yeah.
I've got this rug. I'm like a bear rug.
I got the same thing, man. I got all the features of my mother. She's white, but my father was Lebanese. So I'm like an orangutan if I don't shave my back. It's the worst. And I got it waxed one time years ago, and I broke out. People aren't gonna probably want to hear this, but I broke out in acne, and I had to get in a community pool with the chlorine to dry it out because it was so bad. And I said, I will never ever, and it hurt like hell. I will never do this again. And ever since then, people are like, oh, I'm not shaving. I'm like, dude, screw that. I hate it. I got everything else on my mother's side of the family except for the body hair. It's the Lebanese body hair, like a wolf.
Wow.
This episode is brought to you by McIlvaney Financial Group. Their advisors bring a depth of knowledge and experience that allow them to serve their clientele with care, ensuring their financial needs are met now and in the future. Personally, I'm not saying cash is worthless, but you can see what's happening. It's worth less every year. Gold is the opposite. Click on the promo link in the show notes or go to www.mcilvaney.com/coffeeandamike.
I have the same issue. I used to really be self-conscious about it. And it's funny, it comes back to when I was a kid. I was about 5 or 6. And I remember there was a TV show. I don't know what it was. It was a family show. Like The Price is Right or Come On Down and whatever. And they would get people from the audience. And I remember this woman, they would call women down, 3 women down. And they'd be like, all right, where are your husbands? Let them come down. And part of it was they had to take their tops off. And one of them was a really hairy guy. And I just remember the presenter laughing and joking and the audience laughing and joking. And I was like, oh, God, poor guy, poor hairy guy. And then I was like, oh, God, but Dad's like that. And I was like, am I going to be like that? And then you go through puberty and you're like, oh, fuck, I'm like that guy that everyone was laughing at with his hairy body. Everyone else at the beach does that. I'm the orangutan. And I was self-conscious about it. But no, actually, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. My wife loves it. My wife loves me the way I am. So what the fuck, right?
Yeah, I say orangutan because white with reddish hair, but my uncles, they're all Lebanese, like wolves, man, coming through the shirt. You'd wear a shirt with a button, and the chest hair would just come out like a werewolf. Oh man, good conversation with Jack Cruz, man. He definitely doesn't hold back on anything.
Yeah, it wasn't much of a conversation. He has this habit of mannerizing me. He kind of like just talks at you, and I have to admit, there's stuff I don't agree with. Like I think he's wrong about the moon landings. I don't think we've been to the moon. That's not a big deal. I'm not sure about the history but a lot of it he is on the money, and he's on the ball. He's quite gruff and rough. I like him. Got a soft spot for him. Anyway, it was interesting. It was very interesting. Have you had him on yet?
Yeah, I just had him on. We were talking about you. It was a couple
Oh
of weeks
yeah,
ago,
of course. Duh, of course.
and then last year I had him
You
on.
told me that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, last year I had him on, and then he did the Danny Jones with Callie Means and then Mary Bowden, and which I mean, we've all seen that. That was a fantastic. Mary was just on Joe Rogan.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't watched it
I don't
yet.
think it's out. I don't think it's out yet. But
All
I
right,
saw
okay.
she was there. But yeah, his history. I don't know the history of of Meyer Lansky, and so when he speaks on that, I have no way to, because I don't know. I mean, you dumping a bunch of statistics on me or whatever history. I
Yeah,
have no idea.
names.
Did you know any of that stuff?
Oh no, all these names are just coming flying at you. I knew he was a mob kind of like accountant, but I didn't know he was anything more than that. I thought he was like a small character, and I didn't know he was like this linchpin, mastermind, evil
Yeah.
mastermind.
No, I knew he was a linchpin just based on mob movies. I mean, what you saw on television, but I didn't know like the connections that he was, pointing out like with Mossad, and I didn't know any of that
The
stuff.
thing is, like, well, I love Jack, but I think he could be a slightly more polished communicator. I love, he doesn't give a fuck about people. I love the fact his knowledge about science and mitochondria is just groundbreaking and amazing. But it's almost like he's too smart. Like, I think sometimes he doesn't convey the information in a very easily understandable way. And a lot of the time you're just thinking, what the fuck? Like, thank God there's a reverse button on the, reverse 15 seconds or whatever. And you keep tapping it, you play it, you keep tapping it. It's like you have to like listen to it several times over to figure out what he's saying. And sometimes the threads aren't that clear cut. And one of the things I wasn't really clear about, like, he was trying to portray this idea that the technocrats, the tech bros are up against the bankers, the old guard. It's like the old world against the new world. But at the same time, he was talking about how, like, the DoD and intelligence agencies are working with one group and they're also working with another group, and I don't see that. I don't really see it the way he sees it, and I didn't really understand it. To me, I'm not sure there is this fight between the two. I think it's all the Hegelian dialectic. Even this shit show Elon Trump that's going on. I mean, I fell for it for about an hour. I was like, "What the
It's
fuck?
Jerry
Like, what?"
Springer. It's just straight Jerry Springer.
I know, but for an hour, I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, and then the senses came back to me, and I was like, "Ah, for fuck's sake, it's a show. It's just a fucking show, Ahmed. Calm down." But they got me. They got me for 1 hour. For 1 hour, I was like, "Whoa, whoa, oh my god, popcorn! Let's watch the show." Um, but I don't think the technocrats are fighting the bankers. I think they're all the fucking same, and I think it's just basically a control mechanism. They're changing how they're controlling. Before it was money and usury, consumerism. They amass the wealth and the resources. Well, they've got that now. That's done. That deal's done. The fiat system's coming to an end. They're literally keeping this dead zombie alive on life support, and they're just deciding when to pull the plug because they don't want it to die when it's in an uncontrolled manner because they might lose control. So even this dead zombie is being kept alive, and they will decide when to turn off the life support machine and crash the system. And they'll do it in such a way and at a time when it suits them. They'll have something else they will bring in after the chaos when people are desperate and pleading for help and a savior. And they'll roll in this new system, which they control, and they'll implement it. So, and I think the new age is to replace the old system, and it's all about, instead of consumerism and consumption, it's about consolidation and control. They don't need as many of us now to consume. They just need to control us. And the less of us there are, the better. And, technocracy might work for them. Like they might be like, hey, this is a great system. We will say that experts, not, infallible, corrupt, captured politicians, fake uniparty. No, we'll get rid of all that crap. Now we'll have AI and the scientists and the experts and the people who don't care about personal advancement and greed, who are just doing things for the greater good. They're going to allocate things based on energy tokens and credits, and we'll all get our fair share, and we'll get rid of poverty, and everyone will be equal. And most people will be like, "Yo, fuck yeah, man! I get to drink and watch porn and watch TV. Fuck yeah!" But it's just a control system. Like the rich, the controlling people are still going to have their fucking mansions. They'll eat their steak, fly their private jets, go to places now where there's no more humans because we're not allowed there anymore. We won't be able to fly because of climate change, and we can't eat meat because of climate change. And that's another thing. Climate change is the tool that they're wielding to do this, because they're going to get us to consent to this, because they've already convinced us that we're bad, we're parasites on the earth, and they've guilt tripped us into thinking that we're the problem. It's the ultimate gaslighting, because these evil motherfucker bankers are the ones who've created all the wars, who've stolen everything, who've indebted everybody, who've created ill health and environmental catastrophes. Like they've done all the bad shit, and then they've dumped it at our footsteps and said, "Oh, it's because there's you. Like there's too many of you, and it's you. Fundamentally, you're not good for the planet. You're a bad person." And so people are not having babies anymore. people genuinely think that they need to stop eating and consuming and traveling because they're going to damage the planet. I mean, it's the biggest mind fuckery you could ever do. And unfortunately, a lot of people are buying into that, and they're not having kids, and they believe the government, and they believe the lies. So climate change is a tool in which they bring in this authoritarian total control grid mechanism, and it's just completely fucked up.
See,
I don't know. What do you think of that?
Don't you? Well, see, I think that, and I'm going to quote my friend, and I've talked about this a lot, and I've had him on here. My friend Matt Smith wrote an article in regards to climate change and how they've shifted the narrative away from it now. It's the same mission, but instead of climate change, I mean, I think these people they took over MAGA. And that's why I believe that Trump was put in. The people wanted him to win, but they prevented the other side from cheating this time. This is my personal theory. And instead of climate change, we got to know everybody in the United States. Maybe the same will apply in Europe. We got to know who's here. Got to get registered online to vote or whatever. So the CBDC is here, basically. We have an iPhone. People have phones, smartphones. They use it for everything. So now they'll say, well, we got to know who's here, so we can remove remove these people from the country, and people will be like, yeah. Like the climate change narrative won't work. No. So now they just shift. They just shift over to this, and people will be like, yeah, freedom. But they don't even realize, like, they're just they're just tightening the rope on everybody. It's not a prison. We don't live in a prison. It's slavery.
Yeah. Yep.
So, is it the bankers, or is it the technocrats, or is it both? I don't know. It seems to me, and I said this right after the election, I said, this is WEF 2.0. The World Economic Forum is now in the United States in the form of Palantir, which is funny, Palantir's in the news right now, but that's not new. None of that stuff's new. It's not like this company just popped out of nowhere and started mining data. This has been going on for years. So you have Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, Zuckerberg gets in line, Bezos gets in line. They all get in line and either put their support behind Donald Trump or they just don't say anything. Washington Post, which is Bezos, LA Times. Nobody said anything in regards to leading the election of either they supported him or they didn't endorse a candidate. I don't believe it's in the power of the people anymore. I mean, it still is, but people don't have that fight in them, in my view. And I don't mean it to say, because I get a lot of shit for this, like, oh, I'm a black pillar, but I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I mean, so, they're moving us into, I mean, these financial instruments and the tracking. I mean, they could track us now. You get a credit card, you use it. A woman's like, well, I'm not going to get the real ID because, they have the real ID in the United States now. And I said, well, why? She said, well, because they could track you. I said, do you have a credit card? Well, yeah. Do you don't think that they can just pull up your credit card? If they really want to know where you're up to, do you have a smartphone? Well, you're going to make it easy for them. I'm like, we don't live in a free society any longer.
How does that make you feel?
I mean, it doesn't make me feel, it is what it is. You have to look at this and be like, this is where we are. So that's why I always get on people about the word hope. I hate that word now because people are like, I hope, I hope, I hope. And, and again, I'm quoting some other, Michael Yan always says this, my friend Matt Bracken. Hope is not a strategy. Doesn't mean that I don't get out of bed every day. Doesn't mean that, like, I'm not going to go run today and go to the gym and, watch what I'm eating and whatnot. But this whole thing of like, I mean, the MAHA. Let's go to the MAHA topic for a second. I didn't think Kennedy was going to get in there and destroy Big Pharma. Like, they would never have let him in if that was the case. And too many people in the United States are dependent on pharmaceuticals. We let it get to this point. Ozempic, Adderall, antidepressants. I mean, how many kids are on antidepressants? And their parents are allowing this. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, I've had several sources tell me that they know about they're within that Kennedy circle, and the whole MAHA thing is imploded
Already?
So,
Like what, fighting
yeah.
within?
Like, it's just, I don't know, like, they've just said it's imploded. It's not happening. There's no MAHA. And he's been boxed in and, caged. Maybe they've got something on him. Who knows? But the appointments, the people he's surrounded by, Jay Bhattacharya, I think, is weak. I think he's just he's very political. He knows how to play the game. Sim Malhotra, he was he took 2 shots. He was recommending it to people. And he did a U-turn, but he's got a massive blind spot on childhood vaccines. Refuses to call them out. Not good enough. And then you've got Cali Means and Casey Means. Like, what the fuck? Your Surgeon General for the U.S. is someone who didn't complete the residency. Like, seriously? And ended up working with, what is it? 21andMe or 20, what is it? That genetic company? No, not good enough. And then the other guy's a big former lobbyist. Like, seriously? And then you got that, what is it, Mick McCarthy or whatever his name is? Fruit Loop Man. Like, what the fuck? Like, they're all talking about red dyes and fruit. And like Jack says, nod to him, smart guy. It was like, you know what? All this food stuff, they're right, but it'll take 50 years to kill you. Like, these jabs, though, it's a lottery. You could jab a kid and then their life's fucked. They've got autism. They're never the same again. We're jabbing away thousands of kids, literally, every day, every month. Why the fuck is there still a COVID shot around? Why are the childhood vaccines going ahead? And then they do these lies where they go, now any new vaccine is going to be randomized, controlled, placebo tested. All right, yeah, we've been there. We've done that. We know how fucking flawed that is. What is the placebo? Is it actually saline? You're just giving them aluminium or some other toxic substance. And studies, scientific studies, most of them are sham. I've forgotten the editors that said this, but I'm going to look it up. I think like 50 or 80% of studies, one major editor said, can't be reproduced. And that's where we are now. So I think MAHA is a joke, mate. I think MAHA is ha 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 ha. I don't know what you think.
Ha 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 ha. It's not MAHA, it's ha ha.
Yeah, ha ha.
Did you think anything was going to come out of it though in November?
Yeah, I didn't trust it. I didn't trust it at all.
Yeah, because there were never going to be any. I mean, I didn't think there were any doctors that spoke out against warp speed would be selected. And I've had Jay on here a couple of times. Jay's a good guy. But he was still saying even on my show, for elderly people, to take the shot. And
Yeah.
the second time I was like, you still believe that? And he's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, listen, so this is what I mean. Like, you think he's a good guy, he's all sweet, and he's like a little Indian uncle. Uncle G, yes, uncle. Uncle, would you like a pakora? He's just a nice, sweet uncle, Indian uncle. But he's either full of shit and knows it's wrong and is promoting the wrong stuff and is a kind of gatekeeper, controlled opposition, or he genuinely believes it and doesn't have a fucking clue what he's talking about. Both aren't good, and certainly not deserving of him having any position of power or authority. Like, I'm sorry. If you think the COVID shot is a good idea, you're fucking retarded. I am sorry. Like, that's just not cool. And, I remember going to a meeting, public meeting. I was like, just a member of the public. And I listened to Jay Bhattacharya and Asim Malhotra. They were on stage and they were like, yeah, these people have just made a mistake. And do you know what? They were trying their best and just mistakes were made. Well, I'm with Margaret Anna Alice. I don't believe mistakes were made. Don't think mistakes were made. I think it was intentional, and it wasn't incompetence. And so I'm not with them on that one, and I disagree with them. And it's funny, if you promoted the jabs, or you promote the notion of a pandemic, or you promote the notion that these mRNA jabs have got some limited role, you get attention, you get promoted, and you get positions of power. You don't lose your license. You don't get sacked. You don't get punished. You don't get investigated. So were they the best picks for these jobs? Because I can think of many other doctors who were in a better place, who called it right from the beginning, who haven't been wrong, who've been consistent, who've been sacked, disgraced, lost their jobs, punished. Why the fuck are they not the ones getting these big roles? Why are the political animals who are like Teflon, nothing sticks to them, wishy-washy, on the wrong side often, and then turn around and change their mind? Why are they suddenly the leaders of the freedom movement, medical movement? It's bullshit. Anyway, I found the quote, by the way. So it's Richard Horton. He was a longtime editor-in-chief of The Lancet. I'm sure you've heard of The Lancet. Mm-hmm. And in 2015, he said, "The case against science is straightforward. Much of the scientific literature, perhaps half, may simply be untrue." Like, dude, just think about that. Half isn't incorrect. He goes untrue. Afflicted by studies with small sample sizes, tiny effects, invalid exploratory analyses, and flagrant conflicts of interest, together with an obsession for pursuing fashionable trends, safe and effective. Carbon's terrible. Carbon dioxide is killing the planet. Climate warming. Global warming. Trends of dubious importance. Science has taken a turn towards darkness. He went on to say that much of the scientific literature is not fit for purpose, and that journals have become information laundering operations for the pharmaceutical industry. Dude, kid you not. That's where we are. And I think there's some more which I'll look for. But so when anybody says, oh, we'll do the science and we'll do the experiments. Yeah, with Pfizer was a fucking experiment and study. Multi-center, double-blinded, blah, 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 twin-armed. Oh, BS. They're 95% safe and effective. It was totally doctored, relative risk, not absolute risk reduction. I mean, if you look at Protocol 7, based on the Merck scandal, they were literally fudging the numbers to get their vaccine, the MMR, I think, through. It's all BS. Okay, here's another one. Dr. Marcia Angel, former editor-in-chief of the New England Journal of Medicine. It is simply no longer possible to believe much of the clinical research that is published, or to rely on the judgment of trusted physicians or authoritative medical guidelines. I take no pleasure in this conclusion, which I reached slowly and reluctantly over my 2 decades as an editor of the New Journal England of Medicine. 2009. She also warned that pharmaceutical companies have too much influence over the research they fund, including design, analysis, and reporting of clinical trials. John Ioannidis, professor of medicine epidemiology, and he published a paper, Why Most Published Research Findings Are False, 2005. Most current published research findings are false. And he talks about, statistical and systemic reasons why published findings often cannot be trusted: small sizes, selective reporting, conflicts of interest, and biases. And science has become too focused on publishing positive results regardless of their reliability, and that replication is sorely lacking in academic culture. I mean, I don't know about you, but dude, this is freaking damning. So yeah, I don't have much faith in science right now or research papers. And actually, you know what? I witnessed this firsthand myself. Dude, as a trainee junior surgeon, I worked with a couple of professors and doctors, and I was doing research for them, and I saw them fudge the figures and numbers. Like literally. Like the results that I came up with were not the results that were published in the end. And my name wasn't on the published papers. You know, there was one thing I was looking into, and the success rate I found was about 50%. Like most people were not doing quite well. They were painful and joints and stiff. The operation was not effective. I left, went to another job, and 8-9 months later, the paper's published, and my name's not on it. I'm like, what? I did so much work on this. Why is my name not on it? And then I read the paper, and I'm like, hold on, 80% success rate? Where the fuck did they get that from? And the surgery had finished. It was just collecting data at that point. And so nothing's changed in 8 months. Like it was just fudged the numbers. And then someone told me from within that basically there's a scoring system out of 100, and like if you were 75 out of 100, it was deemed a good result. And what they simply did was they lowered that bar to like 60 out of 100. So if you got a score of 60 or 61, now you're in a good result. But what people didn't realize is that wasn't, because they still had stiffness, they had pain, and couldn't walk, more than 100 yards or whatever. That, these are the questionnaires, by what measure is that a good result? But, there was funding involved. There were significant conflicts of interest. The surgeons were consultants for the firms, getting paid money to travel and God knows what else, consultancy fees. So, that's just my limited experience as well. And I'd seen quite a lot of that. God knows what else it's like in other disciplines and other scientific fields. That was just orthopedic surgery. Academia is so corrupt. I don't think we can rely on it. And the problem is, like, when big pharma is in control, we're going to have nothing but sick people and flawed science. When you've got the bankers in control, we're going to have nothing but debt and enslavement into usury. When we've got the military industrial complex in control, we're never going to have peace. We'll always be in a state of war. When we've got lying bastards, politicians in control, we'll never have true, representative democracy, and the power. People will never have the power or control. We're just slaves. I mean, I can go on and on like that, but that's the problem that we're facing.
Well, and it's been going on for a very, very long time. Now, in terms of like fudging the numbers, when do you think that started? And I'm guessing they probably over time just keep lowering the standard, like 80 20 years ago, and then, let's put it to 78. Oh, let's put it to 74, and so on and so forth. So when do you think that started, where the numbers were being manipulated?
Dude, long time ago. I mean, you just need to look at people like the guy behind the polio vaccine. He was a bit of a fraud. Seems like Pasteur was a bit of a fraud. I mean, I think this stuff has been going on for quite a long time, mate. It's like, you just need to look at vaccine history. Read Dissolving Illusions. Suzanne Humphreys and Roman Bystrianic talk about it. They were convincing people that cutting your skin and rubbing pus from an animal into it was inoculating you and good for you. That if you had a good pustular reaction, that was a good vaccination. And they had their science to back it. They would quote their science. Now, do you actually think that was true? Because later on it's shown not to work. Another thing that is a good tell is, for example, they have a vaccine, right? They'll have a vaccine and they'll tell you how wonderful it is and you need to get vaccinated. And if you don't get vaccinated with this vaccine, there's a problem with you. And then they'll turn around and go, when the patent runs out or the uptake's gone down, they'll say, we've got a new vaccine. And now suddenly the last vaccine that was amazing, they will now say, oh, but this is a better, improved vaccine. That vaccine wasn't that good. You know, you could still get infected. You needed the booster. It wasn't 100% safe and effective, even though we said it at the time. You know, it wasn't. This new vaccine, now this is a really good one. And then you know what? 5-10 years later, rinse, repeat. They'll start the same thing all over again. It's a complete freaking racket. It's just a joke.
Well, it's a grift. You know, and coming back to Cali Means for a second, you know, TrueMed, right? What does TrueMed do? You can use your HSA account and you can buy with cold plunges and infrared. And so now they want to shift everything away from, you know, they shifted
Explain
away.
That. Explain it to, like, not all the listeners understand that. I got a gist of that with Jack when Jack was talking about that, but can you explain that, how that works? What are these guys up to?
So HSA, do you have HSA over in the UK?
No, what does it stand for?
Health Savings Account.
Okay.
So where you can get money out of your paycheck, it goes directly into an HSA non-taxed health savings account that you could use to, you know, like dental work, medical work, surgery, prescriptions. So you can use all these things, you HSA, and it comes in a form of a debit card or, you know, like with a Visa on it. Use it like a credit card. Use it as a credit card. But with TrueMed, the services
and this HSA business, so your money, percentage of your earnings are going into this account, yeah?
Yes.
Do you have a choice? Is it voluntary or is it?
Yeah, it just goes into a savings account. You allocate it. No, I allocate it. I don't have to contribute anything to it. And the employer might contribute a portion of it, you know, a certain percentage out of every paycheck or out of every pay period as well.
But the key thing is it's tax exempt.
Yes.
And then do you have a choice as to where you can spend the money?
Yes.
How do you know where you can spend the money?
I mean, I'm assuming you log in. I mean, it's like if I go to my dentist and let's say I get a root canal, I can use my HSA to pay for that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't have you like go to specific doctors or you have to go here, here, here. But with TrueMed, the services they offer, cold plunge, infrared, I'm just rattling off a couple here off the top of my head, but you can use your HSA for all that.
What is TrueMed?
That's Cali Means' company.
Shut the fuck up.
Look it up real quick. TrueMed. Do TrueMed Cali Means.
Okay, I found it.
Yeah, Mary's the one that initially told me about it. I didn't know. And she's a research queen, an assassin.
Co-founder TrueMed. Right. So what does this mean? So what's this all about then?
So they offer, what would you call it? Like cold plunges and infrared and.
But how does Cali Means benefit from this?
Well, you're using your HSA to buy stuff from their company.
And okay, some might say, what's wrong with that?
What is the purpose of the HSA, right? Isn't it for services, not prevent? Like they classify as preventative. Oh, he's a co-founder.
And
red light therapy, supplements, saunas.
Yeah.
Oh, I figured you knew about this. You didn't know about this.
No, I didn't know about this. So basically, but you know what? Some of this you could say is preventative. I mean, having a sauna is great for you. I've just got a sauna fitted. Saunas are great.
I don't know if that was the intention of the HSA to use your HSA though to buy that stuff.
Yeah. When did this become HSA approved?
That I don't know.
Because that would be interesting. Like when did they suddenly?
So if you go under health tech, the health tech tab, It says HSA, FSA eligible health tech devices for monitoring and support.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want monitoring. Who the fuck? Top health tech partners. Okay, now this is getting a bit worrying. Amazing Fit. That's in like an Amazon type thing. This is all bullshit now. It's just full of tech stuff. You don't want any of this tech stuff. I always get worried when people go, oh yeah, I need to wear this wearable to help me sleep. I'm like, what? No, you don't. So this is basically, it'd be really interesting to know when this all got HSA or whatever it is called eligible. Because the reality is, getting it HSA approved will suddenly increase the number of people who would then spend at his little wee online shop. I mean, effectively, it's an online shop.
And as his attention grows with him and his sister, where are they going to buy this stuff from? Yeah, I think Mark Hyman is part of it too.
What do you think of him?
You know, I'd never heard anything bad about him before, but you know, Jack just was talking about him and Peter Attia. Peter Attia dropped out of residency as well.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he didn't. I didn't know that either.
Fucking hell! All these doctors have never even made it, and now are making it. It's kind of hilarious, if you ask me.
I mean, Peter Attia, it's like he walks on water, you know.
Yeah, what the fuck? So I've just started a consultation service. Thanks for leaving a review, by the way. And I've done about 14 now in the past month. And I had a patient who had been to Peter and Mark Hyman like 10 times. Now I'm not dissing Mark Hyman. She didn't actually see him. She said he was too expensive. But instead she saw one of his associates. It was a cheaper rate. She goes, it's still several $100s, like $400 or $500 for an hour appointment. She goes, you go, you do lots of blood tests, they give you lots of supplements, and that's it. I was like, what? And she's been so many times. She goes, I've spent such a fortune. I travel all the way to his clinic, wherever it is, Cleveland or wherever. I've had all these appointments. They just give me more supplements, blood tests, but I'm not getting any better. And after our 1 hour consultation, she said, I've learned more in this 1 hour than all those consultations at Mark Hyman's clinic. And they charge a lot more than you do. I was like, okay. All right. Guess what? I'm selling no fucking supplements. I'm not selling anything. I'm selling you knowledge. I'm selling you power. I'm empowering you to take control of your life. So, yeah, I didn't know much about Mark Hyman, but I looked into him and I was like, meh. All these guys, man. Yeah. Let's just say no more. You know?
When Mary was talking about that, I was like, God, I keep coming to the same conclusion for all of this grift, man. Like, suck every last dollar out of they can from people. And in this case, what the means is, and I mean, people I know that read her book. I mean, these are people I personally know. They're like, oh, yeah. I read her book. It's outstanding. I was like, did you know that she didn't even complete her residency? Did you know she's not even a licensed doctor in the United States? No. I'm like, yeah, I mean, but this is what they did. They distracted people. You know, people fell for it. I mean, I saw when they nominated her.
Listen. Not being licensed, I just need to say I'm not licensed anymore. So I'm like, yeah, okay. You know, because I handed it back. I was like, fuck this shit. You know, the license is used as a tool to basically get you. And I gave that back. So I'm just saying. But her not completing her residency and training, not becoming a consultant, not being top of her field, to me is a concern. I feel like there's a lot of influencers out there who've not even done anything, haven't really been that successful at treating patients, but they've been great at marketing themselves and then selling products and getting famous. But that's not the same as walking the walk. Does that make sense?
Well, how about these influencers on like X and some of them I think are based in Phoenix where I live because Turning Point is there, that are right behind the MAHA movement, push this thing. The Food Babe is one of them. I can't remember her name. but
Mm.
her real name, but her handle on X is the Food Babe, and I believe she was somehow tied to the Obama administration.
Oh yeah, great, lovely.
I mean, if you go on her X, she might have changed it, but one of her pinned posts was Kellogg's is making a huge mistake by not meeting with MAHA. But yet, okay, it's one thing you're putting the message out there, but people are falling for it. And I said, do you really need somebody to tell you that Kellogg's is bad? Do you need somebody to tell you that Skittles are bad, and you think changing a red dye is going to impact the quality of what you're eating? You eat it because you like it, it tastes good. But if you need someone to tell you this is bad,
Can I share screen?
yeah.
Yeah,
If you
dude,
need
I agree.
if you need somebody
I
to tell
agree.
you that this stuff is bad, you haven't learned anything in the last 5 years.
Dude, that's really bad, man.
What?
Public enemy of big food.
Scroll down to
Yeah,
if
I
it's
know,
still
I know.
pinned. Oh yeah,
Kellogg
yeah.
US refusal to sit down with us will be the biggest PR. What the fuck? No, no. There's no such thing as a good Kellogg's. There's no sitting down and talking to them. You just don't have it.
Look at the post below that. Here is a grift, right? Is it a homemade sports drink?
No, no.
Oh, maybe
I
they're
don't
not. Maybe
think-
she's not. Oh no, there's foodbabefamily.com. So there's a website probably selling a bunch of stuff.
I get people need to make money, but I also, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, they did. I mean, she's doing some good stuff, I guess.
Yeah, I don't disagree with all that. I mean, with Doritos and Dairy Queen but you shouldn't go to Dairy Queen. And I've been to Dairy Queen a lot in my life, but these are places that you just stay away from.
Stay away from, dude. Food, babe. God, no. I wouldn't want to call myself anything like that.
But these are the people that are also pushing the MAHA movement. I don't know how. I mean, I'm going to assume they're financially gaining something from it, but it's it's just all a big grift.
Do you don't like the MAHA movement?
No, I never liked it right from the get-go because when they were targeting the cereals and the Skittles and all that, I said, what the fuck? Like, you need somebody to tell you Skittles are bad, M&Ms are bad. I mean, I know all this, and I'm not even that smart of a guy. But I also, maybe because I'm coming from a lane here, because I was somebody that weighed 280 pounds, and I changed everything. It took a long time. You can't do that in a week, and you have to be honest with yourself and say, all right, where am I at? I'm in a bad place, and I need to start making changes.
Well, that's exactly the conversation I had today. So anyway, carry on. You're saying and?
Well, and if people, they don't want I get it. People want a pill. They want something that's just going to take it away and then continue to eat whatever you want. I mean, I have family members like that. I mean, they just don't want to change anything. And what's really crazy to me, and I see you see this all day, but I see it a lot where people go to the doctor because they have whatever back issues or heart issues or headache, whatever. And they want somebody to fix them, but yet they won't change anything. They won't do anything themselves.
Yeah, 100%. You ever been on a freeway or highway driving, engrossed in the music or a conversation, and then suddenly you realize that your exit's just literally just going past you, and you're like, "Oh fuck, I forgot to take that exit." You ever been in that
Oh
situation?
yeah.
Have you ever thought at that split second, I could literally just turn the car and maybe just get on the ramp, and then you go, I'm gonna make it, fuck it, no. And then you just miss it and you have to drive further down and then look back. You ever done that?
I've never done a hard a hard turn to get to save my time.
But you've contemplated it and then you've said, no, that's a bad idea.
Yes.
Exactly. What I'm trying to say is turning your health around is like that. You don't want to take that hard turning because it's going to end in a disaster. Like you'll just roll the car or you'll crash into the barrier. You need to do it gradually so it's sustainable and safe. If you do too many changes, radical changes, metabolically, there's no reserve. Metabolically, you're so dysregulated And if you do that, you will just fuck it up. Like it will, you won't be able to sustain it. You'll be like, oh, I tried it for, oh, it didn't work for me. Oh no, I got terrible migraines. Oh God, I felt so faint. It's just not going to work. So when you're so off track and you see where you need to go, the answer is take a long loop and come back around and do it properly. Don't just fucking veer off and crash into the barrier. Not a good idea. And it's small incremental steps. And quite often people get really unhealthy in a bad place over a period of, decades. I'm not advocating you take decades to turn your health around, but you take weeks. You take weeks and a few months. It has to be very gradual. Do you agree?
Yeah, I remember somebody saying to me, was it 6 weeks you'll start to see change. I actually think, within a month, if you start, get on the scale day one, in 30 days, if you start to do little subtle changes, you'll see improvement. The hard part is, it's a two front, right? You got to get moving, and you got to start working on your eating. So,
Yeah, 100%.
What do you start to tackle first? I mean, I'm a big believer in like one thing at a time. And for me, although I met a woman, she was the opposite, which I thought was interesting. She's a big carnivore. I've had her on my show before, Mimi. But, for me, it was always get moving, because the more you're moving, you start to think to yourself like, all right, I'm putting all this work in and I'm just giving it right back when I go eat something terrible after. So, and as time goes on, I keep, every day I was moving, but, you're just starting to like, all right, I don't need that today, or I need something else instead of, bread or cookies or whatever.
Yeah.
Even to the point where now, I don't do cheat days. I don't do that anymore. Last year I was carnivore most of the year, and then I went back and visited my mother, and I just kind of fell apart with the pumpkin bread and the cookies and whatnot. And then World Carnivore Month starts in January, and I was like, oh, this is a good time to just reset myself. And now, I'm on the road and haven't had any desire to have any of that stuff. And I'm just better to stay away, because I'm just an addict when it comes to brownies, and I love it. Like that's my weakness. And the sooner you can like just cut that stuff out of your life, and you can just adopt a every day is the same.
Can I ask your favorite? Can you pause for a second?
Yeah.
Thanks.
And we're back.
So
We're back with you had to move locations.
well, I wanted to get out in the sun.
So nice.
No,
Wow. So people that are listening on the audio side, the sky. Do you feel like people have woken up in 5 years more so, or the same?
it's difficult to tell. I think a lot of people know something's not right. A lot of people are like, something is not quite right. Sorry, I'm just I think someone at the driveway. Um, yeah, I don't know if a lot of people have woken up, but I think a lot of people know something's not quite right. You can tell, like, the number of people taking the flu shots is very low. The number of people taking the boosters is low. Yeah, a lot of people just very skeptical. Anyway, I wanted to quickly ask you something. What's the name of that friend of yours, that frequent guest of yours? Is it Dave Collum?
Yeah.
So I had someone reach out to me and go, oh, Dave Collum did an amazing presentation to medical doctors for COVID ethics. You should get him on your show.
Dave did? Dave, I didn't know he did.
No, yeah, he did it. He did a presentation on this channel, Medical Doctors for COVID Ethics.
Oh, I didn't see
Anyway,
it.
maybe I should give him another chance.
Oh, he's great to talk to.
The thing is, when I did the podcast with him, he was in his New York University office. The AC was rattling away, was really loud. A lot of people were coming in and out of the office. He was a bit distracted and a bit like, yeah, all over the place.
Yeah, I have him on a lot. Actually, I'm going to visit him in a couple of weeks. He's always, interesting to talk to. You could literally dive into so many different sectors of things from a financial standpoint or medical or chemistry because he's a professor of chemistry. And I mean, I think you should definitely have him on.
Well, when you meet him, tell him I said I'm sorry, it didn't get published because the audio was really bad.
Hmm.
He has to do it when he's at home.
Yeah, I mean, he's recorded in his office before. I've never come across that. I mean, people have come in or whatnot, but not, yeah, nothing like that with the air conditioning that I've ever noticed. But yeah, you should definitely. I mean, you should get him back on.
I think I'm just, yeah. Oh, by the way, do you want to say hi to my little chickens?
You got the whole. So what does your eating like consist of now?
So I fast 20 hours every day. Sometimes it's 18, 19. Sometimes it's 21, 22. But the average for the week is about 20, 21 hours. So I have one meal a day. I've broken my fast now with some biltong, and the wife will be home in about 2 hours, and then I'm gonna have beef stew and dumplings with her, and sweet potato fries cooked in beef fat. Um, yeah, it's normally quite meat heavy, animal fat heavy. Like the dumplings are made with self-raising flour and beef tallow, and the sweet potato fries are cooked in beef fat as well. Um, we have big portions. Like her stews are amazing. It's just so tasty. Um, so yeah, I'm really happy. I think like my weight's under control. I injured my neck 6 months ago doing jiu-jitsu, and I wasn't exercising anywhere near as much as I used to, but my weight didn't go up because I'm a great believer that you shouldn't control your weight through exercise. Because if something happens, like what happened to me, and you're not burning off excess, and you still have an abnormal eating, you know, regime, you're just going to put the weight back on. So, you exercise to be healthy, and you watch your weight by maintaining a healthy circadian rhythm, being out in the light, and eating in a small window and eating the right type of food. It's not just about, I used to, for the longest time, think it was all about calories in, calories out. You eat too much. I've realized actually it's got nothing to do with that. I eat quite a lot of calories actually in my little window. It's actually about how early you start eating, how late you start eating, how long you're eating for, what you're eating, as well as how much you're eating, your circadian rhythm, and your sleep, your quality sleep. Like if you don't have good quality sleep and you're sleeping late, um, yeah, you're gonna put on weight, or you're gonna keep weight on. You're gonna struggle to lose it. So yeah, it's complicated, but it's simple at the same time. I, One of the beautiful things about Jack was he introduced me to the whole metabolic health and mitochondrial health, and the importance of natural light and sleep. I didn't really value those things. It was all about eat the right food and exercise. Whereas now I'm like, yeah, I need to get it bed. Yeah, it's 7:38. I need to put my blue blockers on. Yeah, I've been in front of the screen for too long. I'm gonna shut everything off now. Turn off the Wi-Fi. I'm gonna go out and ground. You know, there's so many other things to being healthy. You know who you should get on your show?
Oh,
Did I give you the details? Randy Lee, the author of Mitochondriac Manifesto. The answer is no, I didn't give you his details.
no, I was just writing it down, writing a note down.
I'm gonna give you his number afterwards if that's all right.
Yeah,
You should get him on your show. He's brilliant, smart guy.
yeah. Sleep is like one of the most important things, man. And I've been bad about intermittent fasting. I mean, I haven't been doing that as much as I should. Like I'll cut slices of butter and like eat them at 8 o'clock at night.
What?
Is that bad? Should I not be doing that?
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of yeah, no, no,
No? So that's a no? Are you saying no on that?
yeah, don't. Yeah, like you should just fast, man. Fast. I mean, even if it's just 18 hours a day, you should just fast.
Yeah, I mean, I usually,
Like it doesn't have to be 20, 24 hours fasting. Like you can fast like 18 hours a day. That's fine.
yeah, I mean,
That's a 6 hour eating window. How much time do you need to eat?
no, I mean, I was doing that before. I was at a 4 hour window at one point, but just, I don't know, lately I've just been kind of, I was talking to a neighbor of mine. He's an older guy, Polish, and he was going back to Poland for the summer. And because I said to him, he was going to Italy first. I said, "You can eat breads or anything?" He goes, "No, I just stay away from all that. I just do steak and eggs wherever I go. I don't drink alcohol." And I said, "You intermittent fast?" He goes, "I used to." He goes, "I don't really do that because I might eat, in the evening. Then I wake up and I'm not hungry at all, and I can get out and just start my day." And so I've been just kind of applying that method. I mean, I still will do. I mean, it's 14, 15 hour window. Like I don't get up in the morning and eat anything. I just, you know, coffee. I have coffee, black coffee, shoes on, out the door, run, gym, and then start my day. And usually I'll eat at 11 or 12. I'll have like an avocado and then a big meal and then a
If you're
slice.
doing a lot of exercise, then it kind of makes sense that you'll need more, you'll need more meals.
Yeah, I just have one big meal and then I might just snack on like some cheese or something or some butter, slices of butter. But that's all I eat.
That's fine. Dude, that's fine. Fine.
I don't even
Look,
do chicken. I haven't even done
our
chicken anymore because like chicken, I find chicken's just boring to me.
chicken is boring. Most chicken's actually not healthy meat either. A lot of people argue it leaves you weak as well. I think chicken's designed for eggs. That's what we were meant to be getting from them, eggs. That's it. Most meat is, you know, the chicken itself has been fed nothing but grain and soy and crap, coated in glyphosate and whatever, pumped up with water. You're basically just eating a sick diabetic chicken. How's that good for you? I love my chickens. They're all pets. We don't eat the chickens. We eat their eggs. The eggs are amazing. They're nutritious. They're pasture raised. They're eating the grass, the herbs around our garden, and the eggs are delicious. But I don't want to eat the chicken. I mean, I'll lie if I say we don't have chicken. We probably have one roast chicken a week, but it's again from a farm where we know the chickens are pasture raised. They're out in the fields. We're not eating chickens from a barn. I mean, and that's another thing. There's a lot of scam when it comes to free range and organic. Like, what does that even mean? Like, that doesn't. So we know it's a local farm I go to. I get the chicken from there. I know they're out in the fields, you know, and it's good meat. So that's what I eat when it's like once a week. But I need lamb or beef all the other days. That's why I eat lamb or beef. That's what fills me up. If I don't get it, then I'm like, it's funny. I made this I was actually really nice, this really nice prawn pasta, with the prawn was cooked in onions and I cooked some onions first and added garlic, then added some paprika and lots of butter and then fried the prawns in that. With a little bit of tomato puree, paste thing, concentrate. And it was delicious. With a squeeze of lemon juice at the end, salt and pepper. Really nice and add it to the pasta. It was delicious. But you know what? It didn't fill me up like when I eat red meat.
That's what I try to tell people, and people are like, you don't do, seafood, you don't do chicken. I said, no, man, because I'm not full. Like I could get a pound of, do you follow that Samahul on X?
The who?
His name is Samahul. He lives somewhere in Europe.
How'd you spell his name?
Samahole. But
I can
he's a big carnivore guy, but he talks about like how, you pound of
Sama Hools. Okay, I've got them.
like a pound of ground beef will fill you up. And if you want to throw some butter on there, that'll just add to it. And like I eat that a pound and a quarter, I'm full, man. And he talks about, I never verified this, but he said there's more nutritional density in a pound of ground beef than there is in steak, and it's more cost effective.
Yeah, it depends what kind of steak you get. And 100%, I get a lot of ground beef and mince, and we use it. We make burger patties, kebabs, lasagna, keema, which is just a spicy Indian continent, Indian subcontinent, kind of like mince. Basically, you just add some spices to it. I love keema. I actually love keema toasty. So, get some nice sourdough bread. I bake my own sourdough. Nice sourdough with beautiful cheese, with keema inside it. You got the spicy keema sourdough toasty. It's delish. It's so nice. Um, so I'm not keto. I'm not strict carnivore, but I'm heavily meat based and animal fat based, and I really like it.
Do you mess
It's
with
just
pork anymore?
hmm?
Do you do pork at all?
The thing is, brainwashed into not liking it. So because I grew up a Muslim, we were conditioned not to eat pork. I'm not a Muslim anymore. I haven't been for a very long time. But I'm programmed. When I look at pork, I just get, ooh, I don't like it. It looks disgusting. The idea of eating it, I don't want to. And then I think, how many pigs are eating good quality food as well? Like, what are they eating? I want to eat lamb and beef that's been pasture raised. Yeah.
Yeah, I went through my bacon. I had bacon the other night because, again, on the road, you have to adapt. But you, I used to love bacon, and I don't know. I've gotten kind of tired of that. I don't feel like when I eat it, I'm like, this isn't. I'd rather just have ground beef or picana or flap steak or
Yeah, 100%. I love steak, and I'll be honest with you, a delicious T-bone or ribeye. Oh, fuck me. And I've gone to rare now. Like I used to be medium rare. Now it's rare. I've gone from well done to medium medium rare to rare now. I remember I remember going to Paris with my brother as a 20-year-old or whatever. I went just for a weekend, went to explore Paris. We went to a restaurant and the waiter I thought was so rude and we thought he was racist. Actually, looking back, no, he wasn't. He was just disgusted at our food choices. He was like, "Would you like water?" We were like, "Yes." Sparkling. We were like, "Oh no, no, still." I don't drink still water now. I'm now sparkling. And he turned his nose up at us when we said that. And then he said, "What would you like?" The house special is beef tartare. And we were like, "What's that?" He was like, "Raw beef with a cracked egg." And my brother and I just made this face like, "What the fuck? That's disgusting." And the waiter was like, and then we said, "Right, can we get steak?" And he said, "How would you like it done?" And I said, "Well done." And again, he gave this face, on his face like, "You fucking imbeciles." And at the time, I was thinking, "You fucking racist," or "You're not a nice man." Now, I think if I was the waiter serving my younger self, I would have slapped my younger self across the face. Like, you've just killed that steak twice, you fool. You know? Now I drink sparkling water. Now I love beef tartare, and now I like my steak rare. It's funny how we change, over the years.
yeah. So as a kid, because I grew up, my dad was Lebanese, and my grandma would make this kibinai, and it was lamb, ground up lamb, other stuff in it too. But we would eat it raw, just eat it with pita
Wow.
bread, and so I mean, my steak is still medium rare, but maybe I'll start moving a little more towards a little more even red.
I love it. I love it. I cook on my barbecue probably 4 or 5 times a week. And we get lamb sausages, lamb koftas, beef beef burger patties. We make that, and then steak. That's a luxury, probably like once a fortnight. But we will have it. A T-bone, a ribeye. Love it. And also I love the fatty bits. Like I didn't like the fatty bits before. I was like, oh, I can't eat the fat. Now I think that's where all the flavor is. It's just delish.
The fattier, the better. Well, do you still?
What?
I remember you telling me last time we talked how when you go out to eat, you just most of the time you don't eat. You'll just sit there to be social. I mean, I do that
Oh
now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, when I go out. Yeah. If I've eaten a meal and I meet people and it's outside of my eating window and I'm fasting, I will not eat. I'll just have sparkling water. I don't have a problem with that. Same with traveling. Like, like I find like people, like, especially if you give people free food, they'll just eat it for the sake of it because it's free. Classic example, airplane food. Airplane food is disgusting. It's very rare that you'll find something that actually tastes nice on an airplane. But people eat it even though they've just had their meal 2 hours before because they're on a journey, like as if they're walking and exercising when actually they're just sitting in a plane watching a movie. Like, you don't need to eat that stuff that's on a plane. Just go hungry for 3 hours. It's okay. You'll live. You'll live. You'll survive.
I brought on this trip. I brought the night before. I cut up or I cooked 2 hamburger patties, and then I had some picana that I cooked up, and I had some Parmesan cheese all individually bagged. And I ate the hamburgers before I got on the plane, just cold. And then the pecan I ate on the flight, and then the Parmesan. And because airports, the food is shit. Like, it's all snacky. It's not even the stuff they give you on the plane is just Oreos. Like, they did Oreos. And did you mute yourself?
What do you mean my
Oh,
biltong?
um,
I'm just showing. This is real food.
like it was Oreos and I think pretzels in little bags. And I even, there was a woman and her little daughter sitting next to me, and I said, "Here, if you want mine, here you go," and gladly took them. People, you go into those shops in the airport. It's just all snacky, way overpriced, but snacky garbage, garbage.
It's actually magical in some respect. I'm really impressed by them because you walk past, whether it's Mexican food, American fast food, whatever the Italian, it's alchemy, it's magic. They basically take the same ingredients, ultra processed, fortified wheat and grains, fructose corn syrup, canola oil, and then they do their magic, and you get a burrito, you get a pizza, you get a burger and fries. It's the same ingredients, but they look completely different. It's like, wow, it's actually magic. Fortified wheat, you know, fructose corn syrup, and rapeseed oil, and just add one or two other little things, and voila, boom, you got something. And then you walk past the airport, that's exactly what it is. Tacos, carbohydrate, Mexican carbohydrate food, burger joints, carbohydrate food for the main part with a little bit of meat. God knows what's in that meat. It's just slime, chicken nuggets. What the hell is that? And Italian pizzas, more carbohydrate. And it just rinse repeat. All these fast food joints. And everything's been cooked in seed oils. Seed oils, seed oils, seed oils. Fructose corn syrup. Ultra processed wheat covered in glyphosate. And it's like, yeah, is it any wonder? And what's really lacking is animal protein and animal fats. And people are just devouring all that shit. And they're all fat, overweight, diabetic, insulin resistant, and walking time bombs for cancer. It's sad. Does Bobby Kennedy talk about this?
I mean, I don't know if he talks about animal fat, but I mean, they do focus on food. I mean, some of the stuff they are saying in regards to food, I mean, I don't disagree with, but I also think, you got to look within yourself, and you got to, I mean, again, I was one of those people that loved to snack and loved to eat all the, I mean, I still like to snack, but I try to snack in a good way now, where I'm not eating I don't eat chips. I don't even eat nuts anymore.
Right, last time we spoke, I did a deep dive and we talked about your weight and your health. Another realization that I've come to is that much of what is driving us and a lot of the disease and illness and obesity is actually stemming from trauma, childhood trauma. Much of it before the age of 7, where things have made you feel neglected, or that you're not worthy, that you're not good enough, or that you're abandoned. I had that a lot, all of them. I was abandoned at 1 month of age. My mum and dad left me with their relatives for a year. Even growing up as a kid, they would often leave my sister and I in the car while they went to the shops. On one occasion, a police officer almost smashed a window down and said, "I'm going to report you guys to the social services." But those were just my parents then. It's just madness the way they behaved. They loved us, but they were just like weird that way. Um, they used to fight a lot. I used to think that I wasn't good enough. Mum and dad always fighting. I felt very lonely and sad. And that sense of abandonment and not feeling good enough and being rejected. I used to come home and say, "Daddy, I came second in class." And my mum and dad would be like, "Why were you first? It's not good enough." So I grew up with all three. And I think that's what shaped me to have imposter syndrome. It's why I found it very difficult to love anyone and be loved because I didn't love myself. I didn't think it was good enough. Um, and I've spoken to so many people now, and when I talk to them and my consultations, so many people are suffering from trauma. Do you think in your childhood and your upbringing there might have been any form of trauma? And it doesn't have to be sexual or physical. It can be emotional, it can be psychological. I had sexual abuse too, by the way. I was molested by a priest at a mosque, by a relative. I was almost kidnapped on my way home from school. A lot of shit has happened to me. Anyway, sorry. How about you?
No, I mean nothing like that. I mean, I guess if I look back to my childhood, I mean, we grew up eating. My dad wasn't around. I mean, my parents eventually got divorced, but my dad was. He was the guy that was working, but he loved to be out. He loved to be at the bar. I always said, he should have he really did marry the bar, and maybe he shouldn't have had kids, because that wasn't that family. I mean, we would do stuff, but I remember like Sundays I'd see him, and he would bet on football, and he'd be watching TV, screaming at the TV, betting on what he would bet, and we would always. I mean, we just ate out a lot. I mean, ate out, frozen dinners, cereal, pretty much everything you shouldn't eat. And it's funny because my mom's apologized to me for it. And it's like, all right, that was 40 years ago. Like 30 plus years ago. And, but, I don't know. I mean,
You have much time with your dad, or was it literally just the Sundays?
yeah, I mean, we would go to, like, he would take me to sporting events and, because I like sports. So, we would do that, or we would go to the movies because he liked to go to the movies and I like to go to the movies. But it wasn't like we were buddies. And we actually ended up fallout. He died 4.5 years ago. And we never reconciled from 2006. We had talked a couple of times, but I never saw him again after 2006. And
Oh wow, sorry to hear that, man.
yeah, I mean, it's just the way it goes. So, but yeah, I mean, he wasn't in my view, it wasn't a father, right? Like he wasn't
Or
around.
he wasn't a present father.
No, no. I mean, if I were to get in trouble in school or something, I mean, he would drop the iron, drop the hand on me, the iron fist, but not by like beating me up or anything, but like you just got the message, like clean it up. But even when I went to college, high school, college, yeah, we would talk. We'd go to dinner once every 2 weeks or something, but it wasn't like a father son. And he was having, he was having his own struggles too, and just never clawed his way out of it. Had financial success, was a corporate guy, but his addictions were gambling, and he was never. You go through resets in life. I say this to people, whether it's personal, professional, marriage or health or whatever. Everybody goes through it. And some people they don't recover. They don't bounce back. And, I think my dad was one of them. I mean, he went down a path that he never was able to claw himself out of. And, yeah, so that eventually led to, where we just didn't talk anymore. So, but, yeah, it's, you get older. When you're in your 20s, you think everything's linear, right? Just life is a straight line. And you'll be at this age and you'll be here, and you'll be at this age and you'll be here. It's like that movie. I don't like George Clooney, but it's one of my favorite movies, Up in the Air. You ever
I
saw
haven't
it?
seen it.
Oh, it's like one of my favorite movies. And but there's a scene in it where he's a guy that's traveling all the time. Like his corporate life is just he's more comfortable on the road than he is at home. He doesn't want to get married, doesn't want to own a house, doesn't want a family. And he meets this woman who's very like-minded, and they start a relationship. And they're talking to a younger trainee that's on the road with him. And he said, the woman says, you get to a certain point in your life, you just throw out the deadlines. And but as you realize you're in your 40s, I mean, I turned 47 last week, and life is not a straight line. And some people just don't recover. They can't
Don't you
handle the
also
shock.
Yeah, I also believe that there's generational trauma as well. Like I look back at my mum and dad, and they had problems, and their mums and dads had problems. And it sounds like your dad had problems, gambling, alcohol. Maybe who knows what his upbringing was like?
Oh, gambling.
Or his dad as well.
And his mom.
So his mum and dad were also
Yeah,
gamblers.
cards, poker,
Wow. And
smoking.
have you had a gambling addiction?
No, I mean, I used to like to go play. I used to go to the casinos in Arizona, or if I was in Vegas, I would like to play blackjack. And I could play for a long time, get drunk, play. But I haven't been in a casino, and I was in Vegas and I walked through a casino, but I haven't gambled in, I don't even know, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, something.
Good.
Maybe even longer. But, and
What I say is sometimes the generational trauma just keeps passing through, and it takes a lot to say that the trauma is going to stop with me. You need to be a generation stopper, like you stop the trauma. But it's hard. It's hard. Oftentimes it doesn't happen. It just carries on in some shape or form.
well, you either look at it and you say, all right, this is normal. This is part of my this is my part of my upbringing. This is normal to do this, or you can somehow step outside of it and say, this is not how I want to live my life. It's
I,
one or the other.
I
So,
hope I hope I hope I'm doing that with my kids. I was reflecting on the fact that my parents never once said sorry to me as a kid. And I probably say sorry to my kids twice a day at least.
I say sorry all the time. You know what? So my dad's sister, she passed away last year, and um, she, in my opinion, never took care of herself. Had a lot of health issues, and ended up she was falling all. I mean, she was always on prednisone. She had what's it called? Not gastritis. Not colitis. What's that called? Verticulitis.
Diverticulitis. Yeah.
Diverticulitis, I think. And so she was on off prednisone for a long time, and in and out of the hospital. She'd moved back to Ohio, and because she had said to me, I'm at the end of my life. I want to go back to Ohio, where I'm from, and be with my friends. And she was constantly, once she got back there, was in and out all the time. Well, it got to the point where she kept falling, and she couldn't live by herself anymore. So they put her in a long-term care or assisted living facility, and I happened to go see her. We had like issues, but I reached out to her. I was in town, and I said, "Hey, I would love to come see you," and she let me come in. And so I walked in, and she didn't even recognize me, right? And she said, and then when she realized it was me, she looked at me. And first time I'd ever heard this. I mean, my dad, he wasn't around me when doing all this transformation, but she said to me, she goes, "You look healthy. You look healthy to me." And I'll tell you, that was one of the most touching things. It was like, God, I got approval from somebody. Not that I needed it, but for somebody to just say it
You
to
do
me.
look healthy. You do look healthy.
Thank you. Yeah, you too.
Thanks.
Uh,
You're looking good, man. You look so much better than when we last did that recording. Remember that last recording?
yeah, yeah,
You're literally are a different man.
yeah. Well, it's. I mean, your conversation was that was like that was the eye opener from. That was 2 years. That was over 2 years ago. I remember that conversation. It was mid-May. It was Mother's Day of 23. We talked one time after that, but yeah, it was May of 23. I had one more. You know what's funny? I had one more beer. That was on a Sunday. You and I recorded because I was meeting my friends for brunch after that. I had a beer or two, I think, And then the following Saturday, I had a beer. And that haven't had anything since.
Amazing. Dude, on that note, I might have to wrap up soon.
Okay.
It's been really nice chatting to you, buddy.
Where can people find you?
DocMalik.com. Everything's there on the website. Find my Substack, links to my podcast, everything. And I'm really glad your show and you're doing this full time.
Your volume went down for a second. Say it again.
I'm really glad that you're doing this full time and your show is taking off.
Well, I appreciate that, and I mean, it's because people like you that come on, and it's important the work that we're doing, and I would encourage everybody that's listening to make sure you follow Doc Malik and subscribe and become a paid subscriber, and
Same with you, because the thing is, like, simple things like just simply leaving a follow or a review or a rating. Like, I don't know what you are on Spotify. I'm going to look it up again. Right.
Spotify is just the audio, so my videos are on Substack and then YouTube and Rumble.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, for example, it takes 5 seconds to leave a review. I've left one on you. I can't leave it again. It only allows you to do it once. But for example, the more reviews you have on your show, when someone's browsing, if you pop up, they go, "Oh, this guy's got so many hundreds of reviews and likes. They must be quite popular. I should check this podcast out." But if you've got a podcast with like 2 stars or 2 reviews, people are like, they're not going to take you seriously. And what I'm trying to say is it just takes seconds to leave a review. So if anyone's listening to Coffee and Mike regularly, one of your, so that you got 216, that's quite good. 216, 4.6 stars.
Is that on Spotify or Apple? I have over 300.
That's great. That's a lot. But I'm saying, I'm sure, like with you, I have many more thousands of people listening than leaving reviews. And it just takes a second to just tap the banner, press the follow button, press stars, and it costs nothing. So everyone who's listening, can you please do that for Coffee and Mike and the Doc Malik Show? Because it does help us. It means that you can be found easier. You're higher in the rankings and the algorithm. And then, I know you've got sponsorships. I don't. But it helps you get sponsorships. And it helps spread the word. Like when you share it with family and friends, you go, "Hey, check out this podcast." And they look up and go, "Wow, a lot of people are following this guy. He's got a lot of reviews." It just adds a bit of credibility to it. Anyway, it's my 2-bit. Right, mate. It's starting to rain. This is what I meant by our weather is just so unpredictable. It's now raining, so I'm going to go.
I appreciate it. Well, I appreciate it. Next time we can't wait too long for our conversation. So I thank you for everything you're doing. Thanks for coming back on. And I'll be on your show in August, so I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be epic. It's going to be great.
As always.
Thanks.
Thank you. Mic drop.